Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yeah, this video is very special. Probably this might be the series of videos where we will discuss about OOPS concepts, how we can implement OOPS concepts, most probably using Java. Yeah, let's come to the discussion. I mean, whenever you search in Google, do try to understand what is OOPS concepts, mainly with Java or Python, you will come across a lot of videos and tutorials, and you come across with different websites like W3 and Tutorials Point, and just so many websites. The only thing that they will tell you is um, they explain in a way like it's a more technical, and sometimes as a beginner friendly, like it's too difficult to understand what's the terms and what they are trying to teach you. And most probably in this video, we will cover that part. On each and every concept, first I'll give an overall introduction, how we can approach them, uh, taking some analysis, real life analysis, and then following that, I'll try to code it in other video lively, so you can correlate the verbal video and as well as the code video that will be doing in code editor, like most probably in either in PyCharm, yeah, or VS Code. That I can show you if required, how to set up VS Code or PyCharm as well. Yeah, let's get into the video. Again, as I mentioned, if we try to understand what is object-oriented programming language, um, whenever we try to read about those concepts, we came across total, I can say like a 4 or 5 terminologies. Mainly one of them is a class, and the other one is a object, and the other one is a constructor, and the final one will be the method or function. I mean, let's try to understand exactly what these 4 or 5 terminologies. In this video, or in this series, I'm not going to explain you what is data types or as well as conditional statements as well, because in my around total 4.5 to 5 years of my professional journey, when you teach the statements conditional statements, it's too difficult to understand what they are doing when you write a program. So rather, when you try to do a dry run, or when you try to understand yourself those conditional statements, how they will work, then you'll understand them very well rather than someone is explaining. So I'll leave that to you guys, how to approach. How to learn those things. For Python or for Java, it will be a bit different the conditional statements. Again, let's see what is a class. When you try to reach somewhere, everybody says that a class is a blueprint. What does this blueprint means? I'll give a simple analogy. Um, in India, in India right now, uh, Tata brand is much popular, and they have different cars in four-wheeler segment, like Tata Punch, Tata Harrier, in EV segment as well they have. Let's take probably the recent one might be Tata Punch or Tata Harrier. Let's take as a Tata Punch. Hopefully, at least they may have some 1 lakh cars. Mainly the Tata Punch have 1 lakh cars on road at this moment. Will they produce or will they design individually, or they'll make one design? With that one design, they'll replicate some lakhs or some thousands of products. How do they do? It's very simple. Like, we can understand that they'll design one system. One product. That's one car, and if everything looks good, if everything looks good, and they do testing, all this stuff, right? If everything looks good, then it goes for production, and using that I mean, using that, what I can say, using that design, they produce some X number of cars, right? In a similar way, in object-oriented programming, either it's Java or Python, the class is something that's a blueprint. It gives the like what are all the variables that you need, like I mean different kinds of data parts that you might need, all the stuff that you can mention in your class, and you can write down your constructor, you can write down your methods, or whatever you can do, like you'll make sure all of them in the class. In a way, a class is something, it makes like all the operations, all the variables that need for your business logic. Got it? But I understand that. I hope you got it so far. Let's come to the object. What is an object? Like as I mentioned, again coming to Tata Punch, they just make a one design. Using that one design, they'll create some X number of cars. That's X number of products. In similar way, a class is something that can correlate the design, where object is each individual product. When you try to correlate the car, individual car, what it does is when you create a car, I mean when you manufacture a car, it contains every single nut to bolt, some thousands of components in the car, like which were very similar in the same segment. I mean, they were very, other than the color, they were very similar in each and every car. Like if you take them 1 lakh cars, it will be very similar. That's where like even the ops concepts like works. If you consider that design as a class and object as a each individual product, and again in each individual product, probably different people will buy that, and different people will use different functions. I mean, one will play music, one person will not play music. All this might be functions or methods, but they'll have inside your car in the very similar way. In your class, there will be methods, there will be functions. I mean, methods are functions are they both are same. Like they can do something according to your business logic. You can pass the parameters, you can pass like whatever you want to do. You will write the functions. I mean, what I can say is like functions are something that will help to build your core logic, the business logic, where you can do manipulation with respect to data or other stuff. Yeah, that's what like a methods does. Again, when it comes to constructor, that's very critical part. A constructor is something whenever you create an object, by default, by default, when you mention something in constructor, like you want some variables initialization, or you want to initialize some values, this will be initialized by default. How we can correlate that to real time? Okay, like as I mentioned, like Tata Punch may have different variants, like low level, mid level variant, and whatever I can. They use some final. I mean, low level, high end car. Among all those, I mean, budget to high end, the Tata logo will be very similar. Even in design level, the Tata logo will be very similar. It applies very similar to our class as well. Like the constructor, whenever you initialize an object, the constructor will the constructor will be invoked, which means like you if you mention something in your constructor, that will be available right immediately. um, I hope you can correlate that what I'm trying to say. This is very helpful, like in uh, object-oriented language. These are the four or five terms that were very important. Like one is a class. Basically you can say that's a blueprint that gives like how your core business logic you can segregate or you can write. And the methods are something like the business logics, like what you're gonna pass as a parameters, or how you can manipulate the data inside your functions, and what you have to do with the data. All the stuff you can write in mentions. I mean in methods or functions. The constructor is a something you need something when you create an object by default. I mean, that's an initialization. So you can write them in constructor, and the variables are something that stores the your data, and yeah, most probably that stores your data, all this stuff. These are the very important uh, terminology, and yeah, I hope you all understand that. And there are a few other terminologies, like one is access modifiers, and encapsulation, and abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, interfaces, yeah, and other advanced principles of like object-oriented programming, like we'll see in further videos, and hopefully in the next class I'll demonstrate like what we have discussed in this video. Thank you.